let's talk about how to navigate um, using the different translation controls. So for example, if I come down to these three controls, so this is the translate uh, option, the translate tool, this is the rotation tool, and this is the scale tool. Now, and this one is the selection tool. So the shortcuts, the hotkeys for these tools are as follows. This one is Q on your keyboard. This one, move tool, is W, E for rotation, and R is for scale. Right. So Q, W, E, R. So that's very convenient to memorize. So basically, if I have to select this, I'll need this tool, and I can just drag select or just simply click on that part and it will get selected. Now, the way you zoom in and zoom out is by basically, uh, so you have the three button mouse, right? So right click, middle click, and the left click. So you have these three buttons, right? So when you hold down the Alt key or the Option key on your keyboard, Option on a Mac keyboard and Alt on a Windows keyboard. So what you can do is you can hold down the Alt key and just left click, and it will help you to rotate your view like this. Okay. Holding down the Alt key again, just click on the middle mouse button, and you can pan left, right, up and down. And then holding down the Alt key again, just right click on your mouse, and then you can zoom in and zoom out. Right. So uh, Q is for selection, W is for moving, E is for rotation, and R is for scale. And then Alt left for rotation of the viewport, uh, middle mouse for panning left, right, and then right is for zoom in or zoom out. Okay. Now, when you choose one of these three tools, there are these three axes which you see. Okay. So, and these three same axes you can see here also at the bottom left corner. And there's a certain color coding that is going on. So R, G, and B stands for red, green, blue. So RGB equals XYZ. So red arrow is for x-axis, y is for green is for y-axis, and blue is for z-axis. So if I had to move it in vertical direction, I'll just need to come up here and change this. So now, as you can see here also, translate Y is getting changed, translate Z is getting changed, and translate X is getting changed. Okay. So, and if I had to just bring them down to the same value, I'll select all of these and then type 0. So it would be back to its normal position. Right. So XYZ equals to RGB, Q for selection, W, E, R, and left mouse button, LMB, RMB, and MMB. So now you're aware of it. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just select this model, drag select, everything is selected, come to the layers section, and you can open up, if it is not already open, you can come here and open this up. And in the layers panel, you have this, the last option, or you can say the first option. Just click on it and this gets added to this layer automatically. And V stands for visibility. So just switch it off to see if it is added to the layer. And I'll just switch it off so that I can switch off the visibility of the layer. This is a carryover from Photoshop or Illustrator, as you might remember. Now, if I had to create another primitive, so I'll need to come down to the create option here, and you can see that there's this double dotted line, and wherever you see these double dotted lines, it would actually mean that you can tear off that panel. So I can tear this off, then come down to polygon primitives. You have nerves primitives also. So but in this case I'll just use polygon primitives, and I'll just click on one of the cube options. So right now the cube is already created right in the center of the scene, and it's way too small. Okay, so let's say if I have to go closer to it, so I would essentially use the shortcut, or I can just hold on F. So F would frame up your scene on the object that is selected. So let's say if I had more than one objects created here. So if I have a sphere, I have a cube, I have a cylinder, okay? And now if I select all of these three options, and then if I hold on onto the F key, it would actually frame up all these three for me. Okay, but if I just select only this one and then hit F, so this is going to be in the center of the frame. And if I select nothing and hit F, then it's going to give me a generic kind of a proportion. Okay, so that's basically how it's done, and this is how you create your basic primitives. Okay, so I'll just delete these by hitting the delete key. And whenever you're thinking about creating a geometry, creating a design, or doing something like that, essentially you start off with a basic form. Okay, and whenever we're talking about creating anything, I always insist on using a reference, right? So that reference could be of any that reference could come from any source. Essentially, you could Google that reference, you could take a picture of that reference, could be anything, doesn't really matter, right? So for me right now, I'll just show you something. Just a second. So this is basically a business card holder, right? And when I'm looking at this business card holder, I'm actually looking at it from a very designer kind of a view. So to me, this is not just a business card holder. This is this is a structure that is made out of cubes, essentially, right? So I will prefer going with a cube. Now, in order to see it properly, I'll just need to frame it up, which I've done. And then I'll have to add some resolution to it or edit something about it. Now, how do I do that? So what I need to do is I need to come down here in the channel box, and if you click on polycube, what you would find is that you would have the controls for width, height, and depth. So if I just punch in a number, say 5, so it's increasing the width, 5. I'm using tab key to switch to the next 5. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Now, if I had to increase the width even more, another option, another way of doing it could be I could just click on width and hold down the middle click on your mouse. Excuse me. And then just come out in the viewport and then drag. Middle click, drag. Okay. Middle click, drag. Left click, middle click, drag. Right. So that's how you could do it. Or alternatively, you could just hold down onto the T key, T for tiger. So the same options would come here as well, right? So width, height, depth, and then you would have something here which says subdivisions, width, height, and depth. So this is basically going to add some more resolution to it. Okay. So in this case, I could probably go with a very less of width here, and then go about doing stuff. Okay. Another thing is, if you want to work with references, right? So how would you go about loading up references in Maya? Now, let's say if you have a front view, right, of your subject, and you want to load it up in Maya. So the way you would do it is, let's say if I have a front view, and I would go in this section which says this menu called View, and I'll come down to Image Plane, and I'll say Import Image. Okay, and here what I would do is I could just simply go to the place where I have my images saved. Should be here somewhere. Give me a second. Okay, let me find at another location. Should be here only somewhere. A little. Okay, so let's say if I'm going to use this as my reference image. So I'll just say open, and this comes up in the front view of my viewport. Now I'll hold down spacebar again, tap it once, and then come back to the perspective. And you can see that I'm looking at my reference image here. Now I can just select this, move tool, and drag it back, right? And then go about working on the model. Okay, so I hope that this has given you a little more insight into the basics, how to navigate in Maya, and how to move around in Maya, and how to use different shortcuts, the hotkeys, and yeah. So that's about it. Just try to uh, work in it, work on some of your personal designs, and then submit it to me. Right? Thanks.